Anthony Cumia Show.
Glad you're joining us this Sunday evening, per usual. My guest tonight, just awesome. I've done shows with him. It was a lot of fun. He's a great guy. He's a New York guy. He knows the city like not many other. I got to be honest. I don't profess to be much younger than Curtis, but I kind of grew up, not as a kid, my 20s and 30s, watching what he was doing in New York. And always, sometimes you laugh, chuckle, and most of the time you go, good, someone's finally doing something. My guest, how are you this evening, Curtis?
Oh, I couldn't feel better. You know, Friday night, I'm under the Kosciuszko Bridge. And remember, Anthony, don't be saying Kosciuszko like the other Gavones out there.
The way they used to say it. Oh, the Kosciuszko. Kosciuszko. First time I heard it said the proper way was on a traffic report. I think it was on Winds or something. And it goes, Kosciuszko. And I'm like, what?
That's right.
They build a new bridge? I never heard of that one.
So underneath the bridge, finally, after 5 times trying and running into every bureaucratic delay by the Adams administration, before that, during the lockdown and pandemic, Cuomo out in the Hamptons tried to stop them from having a concert. We were there, myself and my wife, Nancy. We're
the chain smokers.
That's right. We're into EDM, electronic dance music. And I mean, the music was flowing. The song Closer, Paris, Don't Let Me Down, Take Away Addiction. And actually, my wife knows all the words. She's lip syncing them with the crowd. I know some of the words. We had such a great time. And then they tweeted us, the chain smokers, Curtis and Nancy Sliwa, for being there. Now, it doesn't get any better than that. Come on, Andy.
No. That's good because, you're known. And people, they're pulling for you, Curtis.
Well, also, they hated Cuomo because of the lockdown and pandemic, and Adams for making it so difficult to have a concert. Not because Adams doesn't like the chain smokers. He probably doesn't even know who they are.
Yeah.
But the regulations that exist in this city to do anything, Anthony, which is why people like yourself have decided we're out of here. You're down in South Carolina where half of New York City has moved.
Yeah. A lot of people have left New York because of things like, the things most people go, taxes, I can't take the expense, the lack of rights that you have. They've just infringed on your rights, this and that. But regulation is a huge thing. The amount of red tape you got to go through to do anything. There was one time I lived in Roslyn out on Long Island, and I wanted to chop a tree down in what I thought was my yard. I bought the house. I pay the taxes. I wanted to cut a tree down, and silly me, I went through all of the legalities that one would go through when you have to do something, thinking it would be simple. The amount of money I had to pay various people to cut a tree down in my own yard was criminal. A tree inspector, a tree doctor had to come and examine the tree to see if it was healthy, and then that would have been more money or more forms that had to be filled out. It's gotten to the point of being so oppressive that I don't know how anyone is even left in that state, except for the lunatics that are pushing people in front of trains.
Anthony, you committed arbicide?
I did, arbicide.
You
I had
killed a tree. A tree grows in Brooklyn. That's the book we all read in second grade.
I know.
You killed
Curtis,
a tree?
I love nature. I love trees. I love the beauty of trees. But the leaves were falling in my pool, Curtis. I can't have this.
Excuse me. You didn't have a pool boy there?
I couldn't stand the leaves in the pool. So I got rid of the tree. No, it was dead. It was half dead anyway. One of the branches were broken off. It was all hollow and like sawdust inside.
Actually, Anthony, one day, when time permits, you need to get program director Kevin George on to talk about how he was a pool boy for the owner-operator of WVOX in Westchester for many years. And
is this a titillating, sexy story of a pool boy?
It involved pleasurization, the likes of which I couldn't imagine Kevin would indulge in.
Yeah. I went through a pool cleaning phase in my earlier days.
Oh, you did?
My early 20s out on Long Island, vacuuming people's pools. And they were all, they had huge houses. And you wanted something to drink, a drink of water, and they'd be like, yeah, the hose is right there, and you're drinking hot water out of the hose.
Like you're an illegal alien, right?
Yeah.
Who was at Home Depot,
Right.
standing there for day labor to clean the pool.
Getting my cardio when I see the SUV pull up.
Oh, my God. So you're the pool boy. Now, what causes that silt on the bottom of the pool? I can never figure out.
Well, you got to cut your trees down around your pool there. Oh, the silt at the bottom? I don't know. You gotta, because when I finally did get my own pool, then I had other people like me come over and do the work. So I don't know what actually was wrong with it. I just had to vac it out. I didn't know what caused it.
Oh, so there you were. Blue collar, working class, man.
Yes.
You didn't have calluses on your tuchus. You had calluses on your hand for doing a hard day's work for almost no pay.
Yes, and you know how that is. You did the same thing.
Oh yeah.
And how many people in government, and I'll bring it over to the entertainment field in some respect. How many of them don't even know what it's like to go to a job you can't stand, be in conditions. I also did HVAC, and being in attics in the middle of the summer, it's 130 degrees up there. You're banging your head against the shingle nails, poking through into the attic, and you're hating life. And all you're doing is thinking, God, I gotta get out of this. I gotta do something else. I have these dreams and aspirations, and you work toward them. And when it pans out, it is an amazing thing, but you will never ever look back and take it for granted. Be
hold
humble.
on a second. I'm really interested in this attic boy. You're up there. You got all the insulation, all the fibers that you're breathing in that you're going to get cancer from, years from now.
Yeah.
Did you find any bats or skeletons up there in the attics?
There were bats a few times, mice. It was out on Long Island, so it wasn't like I was doing city tenements or anything like that.
I gotta tell you, I'm a kid.
But the insulation was terrible.
I'm a kid. I'm in the back of the Canarsie Cemetery, the only secular cemetery in the city. Every other cemetery is religious. It was actually owned by the city. And I'm hanging upside down in those elm trees. Because during the day, the bats were sleeping. They're nocturnal.
Yeah.
And so I'm hanging upside down, and I'm loving, I'm climbing those trees, and I'm looking at the bats, and I jostled one of the branches, and the bat woke up and bit me right in my stomach.
Oh, no. You really got to think that's going to be a problem.
I fall out of the tree. There's like an emergency. My cousins, Joey G, the Cheech from Howard Beach, Lenny Beans Bianchino. Oh, my God, you got bit by a bat. Rabies.
Yep, that's the first thing you think.
They dragged me to Brookdale, the ER, first in line, the guys who got shot. Then in line, the guys who got stabbed. Then the ones who got bit by bats or rats. And they give me 12 horse needles right in my belly button. Ooh, I mean horse needles. And they say, if you don't take these needles, there's a very good chance that in the middle of the night, you're going to be foaming from the mouth.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we could do for you then. You're gone. We got to call in the priest with the last strike to investments. As
kids, we all learned that from cartoons, by the way.
Oh, what about the wild packs of dogs that would be roaming the neighborhoods, and they'd be foaming from the mouth, and everybody would say, "Oh my God, rabies! Stay away from them."
That was a scary thing as a kid.
And remember, Anthony? Remember when you would see a praying mantis, and they would say, "Don't touch that praying mantis. If you kill that praying mantis." People in Washington are going to know, and they're going to come and put you in federal prison for 5 years if you bother a praying mantis. Yes. And I would say, how would they know? It's a protected species.
They knew somehow, because as a kid, you were petrified of that. Every kid heard it. There was no internet. How the hell did every kid in this country know that it was illegal? You go into prison if you kill a praying mantis. And remember, somehow we all knew it.
It all blended in. The praying mantis, their colors would match the leaf or the branch they were on. So you might have jostled the praying mantis and you would pray to God, "Oh, please, I hope the praying mantis doesn't die. I can't do time in federal prison."
The knock on the door. FBI.
Oh,
Is your son home?
The other one, Anthony, if you kept a book one day over from the blue-haired matron,
Right.
and you didn't make it to the night depository box by 12 midnight, she shows up the next day like with a warrant to come in the house to check any books. I don't care if it were matchbooks, comic books, S&H green stamp books, you know, where you used to cut your tongue, slapping them in there to get that toaster oven, you know, at the S&H green stamp store. Oh, God. It was...
We had a pretty twisted...
that was good.
Thought about the world back then and laws.
It was good. We knew there were consequences.
Yes. Maybe that was a good thing. Like the over use of consequence that wouldn't ever happen was probably better than this, what we have now, where no one thinks there's going to be consequence because they haven't seen any. You know, people are able to do these things these days that, you know, we see what goes on in a lot of these stores where people walk in. It's not shoplifting. I don't call it shoplifting. It's strong arm robbery. There's a threat of violence if you try to stop somebody from taking stuff out of a store these days. And they load up bags. They don't run in, grab something, and run out. They take their time. The only people that would do that are people that absolutely know there's no consequence to it. And consequence is the only thing that's going to curtail this, Curtis. And we have these elected officials, police departments, the DAs, the AGs, all these judges that just refuse to put consequence on people's actions.
I have to admit to you something that I did as a 7-year-old child.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
We went to visit my uncle Jimmy Scavone and Lucy Scavone, my aunt. They had moved to Hollandale, right outside of North Miami Beach. And, you know, that was back at the time where Jackie Gleason, the most watched entertainment show on the weekend.
From down there.
And at the end, he would say, come on down to Miami Beach. And like half of New York City did.
Yeah.
So my aunt says, let's go shopping at the local Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly. Not Wall Bombs. Not A&P.
Not Bohack.
Nope. Not Passmark. Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be an adventure. So she's walking around, and I see her tasting some of the grapes. And I ratted out my own aunt.
Whoa! You're right. In an Italian family.
I ate the Parmesan cheese. I went up to a guy. I said, she shouldn't be doing that. She's eating the grapes. My Aunt Lucy was so embarrassed. And the manager comes over to me and goes, kid, you're like a junior sheriff down here in Dade County. We should make you a junior sheriff. You're like a narc. You narked out your aunt for eating the grapes.
Oh.
She was tasting them. She wanted to see which of the table grapes she wanted to get.
Right.
Do you know, she put me in the back of that car and she goes, Maramai, you of all P. Curtis. I'm your aunt. I am the older sister of your mother, Francesca. What did I do to deserve this? And I said, you ate the grapes without paying for them. And to this day, I think I was right, Anthony.
Yeah, but, you know, there's certain cultural things, Curtis, where it might seem like you're being a rat. You know, you don't want to rat out your family.
Hold on a second. Cultural, this reminds me of Andrew Cuomo. This is the 4th anniversary when he fled Albany because he feared impeachment for slapping fannies. And remember,
he was just being Italian.
Yeah,
That's
remember that
said.
was his excuse. It was my cultural influence. Now, I knew his daddy Mario, and Andrew is no Mario. In fact, when I see Andrew on the stage of the debate, because there are going to be 2 debates for me, I'm going to say, Andrew, I knew your father, Mario. You're no Mario. Why don't you go get your shine box right now, huh?
Oh.
Huh, Andrew?
Brutal.
But the fact was, he sexually harassed 13 women, denied it. You know, they all worked for him. They all worshipped him, including a state trooper. He said no, and then he not only was slapping fannies, he was killing grannies. And the guy is back. He's like, this is like a nightmare. He's like, he is like a zombie who comes back from the dead, the political dead.
It's amazing. I thought he was done for. He doesn't seem to have much traction as far as this mayoral race goes. You know, you have a buzz about you. People are talking about you. No one's talking about Cuomo. But hey, Curtis, you know how this is. I got to take a break, but we'll be right back. You know how this is.
What?
We're squeezing in here for breaks. It's regular radio. You know how it is. We'll be back in moments with more of Curtis Sliwa on the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show.
Curtis, I got to ask you this because I'm checking my feed during the breaks, and one thing people keep bringing up, they think you should drop out and endorse Adams because they're saying, oh my God, Mamdani's going to win if Curtis doesn't drop out and back Adams. I don't see it that way. I see this as Adams and Cuomo and Mamdani divvying up only the Democrat votes. I think any Republican would vote for you. I think you'd be very hard pressed if you dropped out that Republicans would even go out to vote in November for this. I honestly believe that if every Republican got off their ass and actually did vote, we would have Curtis Sliwa as the mayor in New York in November. What do you say to these people that are asking you or demanding you drop out and back Adams?
First off, Anthony, that was a brilliant political analysis.
Thank you, sir.
It really was, because you got it. There are four people in this race that everybody knows. At least everybody knew the three a long time ago, okay? Cuomo, Adams, Sliwa.
Yeah.
And Zoran Mandami, not even his neighbors knew who he was 6 months ago. Now he's an international infamous person who's a combination of Che Guevara and Yasser Arafat. You know, a combination of both. And he loves it. He loves it. So 6 weeks ago, there was intense pressure. You got to drop out. You got to drop out. Then all of a sudden, I was the only one to get $2 million in matching funds.
Matching funds, yep.
Not even Zoran. Adams got zilch and Cuomo got zilch. And in the last four polls, I'm the only one who's surging. Zoran is sort of plateaued out. Cuomo is sort of like slowly receding like his hairline. And Adams has crashed and burned. He's down to 7%.
He's done. Let's be real here.
Well, look, when he sat on that sofa of Fox and Friends, and Tom Homan, the head of ICE, says, boy, when I get back here, if I see the NYPD are not working with ICE, I'm going to stick my boot up your tuchus. Mm-hmm. And Eric didn't even blink, didn't even say anything. That was it for him in the black community. All the black communities I've been campaigning in, they tell me that was the defining moment when they realized that Eric Adams, in order to avoid going to jail for political corruption.
He's compromised by the federal government at this point.
I know, but, I mean, I get it. Cool Hand Luke, I love that movie. Remember, you got Paul Newman.
Please.
Yeah, yes, boss. Yes, boss. And he uses that as a ruse to escape from the sheriff. But in this case, Tom Homan reminded me of that sheriff. And Eric Adams reminded me of Paul Newman. But it wasn't a ruse. It wasn't an attempt to extricate himself.
No, he'd been broken.
Oh, my God.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Yes.
I love it.
He was dead on arrival. So the whole campaign is based on you got to be out in the streets, you got to be in the subways, which none of those candidates are.
No, they go to these fundraisers and these hoity-toity. Where was Cuomo? Out in the Hamptons with Howard Stern? Where was he? Where are you? You're underground in New York City in those wretched subways.
Yeah, and that's the perfect focus group because you know, Anthony, when you get into a subway car, anybody could be in that car.
Oof.
Any race, any background, whether they're locals, tourists, emotionally disturbed, homeless, millionaires will sometimes take a quick ride down to Wall Street.
Yeah.
You're all, and the doors closed, and now there's no escape, Anthony. So you get somebody giving you the finger and somebody patting you so hard on the back, you got to go for a chiropractic adjustment, but a whole bunch of people asking you questions the way it should be. And boy, if you don't answer the question, you know, you vacillate, you do the pivot and shift, they're going to nail you right there. And it's a great way, if you want a focus group, And it's obviously you have to worry about all the crime there, but, the city has said it's the safest the subway has ever been in subway history. Tell that to the doctor in the ER who got thrown in the tracks at 50th Street on the 1 train at 7:30 at night in front of a whole bunch of tourists.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been caught yet.
Well, I saw the description. It said a guy tall, wearing a backpack and a white T-shirt. So they should get him any day now.
Now, hold on a second. The most important element of that description is, what's the color of his skin?
Oh, stop.
Come on,
I don't
Anthony.
see color. I don't see color.
Anthony, that's a great description, but that could be a white guy, black guy, maybe a guy with olive complexion, a guy who has acne, and never used Clearasil as a kid. Help us. The guy is on the lam, and the city just keeps saying, we've just had the safest July in subway history.
Oh, they crow about how safe the city is and the subways are. And meanwhile, a guy just got it. Another guy, I thought it was a story from 2 weeks ago. I checked, it was today's date, stabbed in the neck on the subway just a few hours ago. Altercation on the train. Why you would argue with anyone on the subway is beyond me. But it's out of control, Curtis. And
I'm the only one who can get it back because I'm the only one who has been patrolling those subways with the Guardian Angels for now 46 years. I know what needs to be done. I know how it's been done before, and it's not a difficult process. But if you decide to go with Adams or Cuomo or Zoran Mandami, these are guys who don't ride the subway. How are they going to know what to do?
We'll take up this in the next segment. Anthony Cumia Show, back in minutes.
The Anthony Cumia Show.
There is a song that I think is pertinent to our audience here, Anthony, and that is Don't Let Me Down. Don't let me down out there. Republicans, it's time to come home. We have a real opportunity to get this city back on track, like we did when Rudy got elected mayor, and then Bloomberg for 12 years, then Pataki was the governor for 12 years. We had no chaos, no corruption with Republicans. We went back to the Democrats, de Blasio, Cuomo, Adams, and all we've had is chaos and corruption since.
How fast, too. It all goes downhill. It's so difficult to come back from look at the 90s. Look at the 90s New York City. I mean, murders at their all-time high, crime. And Giuliani gets in there. It took him a while, and he was despised. Don't think of post 9/11 Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, that everyone loved him. He was hated as the mayor because he had a job to do. He knew what it was, and he didn't let popular opinion sway him. Crime needed to be stopped. He cleaned up the areas of Times Square. Some people don't like it. They like the gritty old Times Square, but it made it into a tourist attraction and brought so much revenue into the city. Now, I look at tourists that come into New York City and go, are you out of your mind? You got your kids here? You're wheeling your luggage down the sidewalk? This is insanity. And we were at a point. What was Giuliani doing that you might adopt some of the things? I was talking earlier about this quality of life and these the broken window policy, keeping cops down there in the subway by the turnstile so these nuts can't even get on the platforms. What are some of your ideas about making New York a little safer there, Curtis?
Well, let me explain one thing from the news headlines. There was a 17-year-old thug at 1:30 in the morning in Times Square off of like 44th, 45th and Broadway, and he pulls out a gun and he starts shooting people.
All right, Curtis, wait. Couldn't happen. It's a gun-free zone, Times Square. I know.
Well, actually, the reason it was created, a gun-free zone from 40th Street north to 50th Street, along the corridor, Broadway and 7th Avenue, was by Governor Hochul and Eric Adams against people who had a legal permit to carry.
Yes.
So if you were legally licensed, which is a very difficult thing to get anywhere in New York.
The money and time it takes, forget about it.
But this sign meant you. Now, the guy who always carries an illegal handgun, which is 99.9% of the troublemakers who end up firing their firearms, they're reading that, if they can read, And it apparently does not apply to them, Anthony. So
No, of course not.
they feel they have a license to carry an illegal handgun in Times Square and kill or shoot as many people as possible.
Yep.
Now, at 17, they raised the age. Cuomo raised the age, so you have to be 18 to be charged as an adult. So this guy tries to murder people. And he will be charged as a juvenile under the old Cuomo law. Remember, no cash bail Cuomo. That means whatever you do, you're going to get cut loose.
It's reform, though, Curtis. It's bail reform. So it's a good thing, right? They're reforming something.
And then Zorhan Mandami, the man who said, I want more social workers, not cops, he wins the Democratic primary, and now he is escorted wherever he goes by armed NYPD police officers who drive him around in a gas-burning guzzler, I think it's a General Motors SUV, and he's loving every second of it because when he was over there reminiscing about the life and times of Idi Amin in his home country of Uganda, he had the commandos there with the AK-47s fully loaded, couldn't make a phone call on his land gentried premises.
Right.
So it's sort of like, do as I say, not as I do. These are sanctimonious hypocrites.
They all are. It's just, especially on the Democrat side. You know, the Republicans aren't all saints themselves, but the Democrats, I was just talking earlier about their deceit, their deceitful way of putting things and wording certain things. When they come up with a bill, it sounds like a great thing. The Safety Act in New York. And meanwhile, it takes away your right to bear arms, your Second Amendment right. But they put the names on it like they're helping you. They're doing a favor as they rip away your rights.
Now, tell me, let me take you back to something of great importance to me. And I know you, when we last spoke, you had just brought a puppy dog into your life. Am I correct?
Yes. Dallas, Belgian Malinois. We have the time and space and motivation, energy and resources to take care of a Malinois the way they need to be because they call them meat missiles. They're special forces and police dogs. But they're smart as a whip. He's being trained so quickly. My girl Missy knows how to train these dogs, and it's amazing to watch.
Now,
I love animals.
Yeah, and you should. But
them.
While you were down there, we had a horrific story here that unfortunately happens far too often. So you had this young thug who at 4:30 in the morning is kicking a pit bull to death, drags it along the street in South Ozone Park, it's all on video, and then sets the dog on fire and runs away. Turns out the guy is caught by cops in the 110th precinct days later. I had brought a whole posse of animal welfare people out there. We were giving out information that would lead to his capture, and he was captured. And he was cut loose, no cash bail.
Oh, my God.
This young guy went to Canisius on a basketball scholarship. Right. Sort of a Michael Vick type, just vicious towards animals. And that's the other thing is I am running on the Protect Animals independent line, no kill shelters, animal abusers go to jail. And that resonates with people no matter whether you voted for Trump, you voted for Harris, you're independent, conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter, and mostly women. Because if you're not taking care of animals, you're not taking care of people. And look how many homeless and emotionally disturbed people we have here.
Yeah. Curtis, I've spoken with a lot of people, and I hear people that have critiques of you. And one of the things that I don't understand, because I say, no, Curtis is the guy. This is the guy we need in New York City right now. And they go, oh, what, him and his cats? And it's like, if you don't have empathy for a completely helpless animal, a cat, a kitten, what kind of human being are you? Like that is I judge people's character on how they feel and treat animals, because they are probably the most innocent things you'll find. Most people, most human beings, and I love seeing these videos when they see an animal in distress and they help it. And you don't know this person from a hole in the wall, but you go, God damn, that's what people should be. That's how a human being is supposed to act. And some people look at it as detrimental to your platform. And who the hell would think that way about animals?
Well,
and what have you heard?
They did.
Yeah.
They did 4 years ago when I ran against Eric Adams. They made fun of me and my wife. Now
the
that
cat
was
guy,
right. That was during the lockdown and pandemic. So the shelters were not taking in animals being surrendered, and I don't blame them. People were dying left and right of this virus that we really didn't know anything about. They were terrified. Okay, so my wife went down to the shelter. And as people would come in to surrender cats, she'd say, please don't give them into the shelter. They're going to euthanize them.
Yeah.
See, because the people were of the belief, no, if I surrender the cat or the dog, they'll find them a good home. Because
everyone thinks that.
Doesn't happen. Not in New York. After a certain number of days, they kill them. And so my wife would bring them back to the house. She would get them the shots from the vet visit. She would socialize them and then adopt them out in twos. So the reporters wanted to come over and visit us. See, we lived in a very simple one-room apartment. And they made fun of us as if we were hoarders. I will never forgive them for that. And now all of a sudden it's very much in vogue. Very much in vogue because during the national election, so much was made of Peanut the squirrel.
Oh, my God.
And
they killed Peanut.
Right, and his pal, Freddie the raccoon, remember?
Yes.
That the evil animal welfare agents of Kathy Hochul came, with their jack boots on, kicked in the door. The husband and wife, okay, they were making porno films on the side. That's their business. But they had an animal sanctuary there. They took Peanut the squirrel and Freddie the raccoon because somebody in Texas called and claimed that they thought they had rabies. So they take them away. They bring them to Albany. The test for rabies for an animal is you chop off the head.
You got to take the brain out. Yeah, there's no living test for rabies.
So now think about it. They didn't have rabies. So how do you put them all back together again? The husband and wife, they said, we'll send the bodies back. They won't. That is evil.
Yeah.
If these people are rescuing animals in the wild who would normally die from injuries and not asking anything from the taxpayers, we should be helping them, like my wife. And there are tens of thousands of animal rescues that are out there, mostly women, some men. They spend their own money. They go out there, whatever the weather, morning, noon, and night. They'll risk their lives to protect animals. And that is a humanitarian thing to do, and we are a better society because of it.
It's a great judgment of character, and everybody that is into rescuing animals and caring for them, and even if you're just somebody that sees an animal on the side of the road and decides, I need to help this, it is a great judge of character. They're just good people. They're good-hearted. It's an instant way to tell if someone's good-hearted. You want to talk to Rich in Connecticut? He wants to talk about you on the animal welfare line. Rich,
absolutely.
You're on with Anthony Cumia and Curtis Sliwa.
Yes, hi. I'm a supporter of Curtis going back for 2 election cycles, and just an admirer because he's a deep New Yorker. He understands New York in a deep way more than almost anybody else. So he's a candidate that any voter in New York could be proud to vote for. And I think for Curtis to win, you have to track the Democrat voters, the union voters, to your animal welfare line, and then label Mandami, which is what he is, San Francisco 2.0, a variety of programs, some that Cuomo instituted and have failed wherever they've been instituted.
Well, I've studied both Zoran Mandavi and obviously Anthony Cuomo and Eric Adams. Now, there's no doubt Mandami is the most extreme,
Andrew.
But he is sort of like Coca-Cola, and Cuomo and Eric Adams are Diet Coke because they believe in many of the same things. To give an example, Anthony, they believe illegal aliens should vote. I say no. They believe in a sanctuary city, all 3 of them. I say no. There are clear differences. But in the other area of animal welfare, they have no position.
Right.
In fact, Andrew Cuomo had this Siberian Husky. And when I asked the question, whatever happened to the Siberian Husky, man's best friend? we were told, both I and my wife, mind your own business.
Uh-oh.
Now,
sounds grim.
Could be, the Siberian Husky. They didn't fix the Siberian Husky like Biden with his German Shepherds. Remember?
Right.
The German Shepherds were
Secret Service agents.
Because they didn't fix them. Anybody would know that. And apparently, Andrew Cuomo never fixed the Siberian Husky, who became a nemesis to other people. And now all of a sudden on the campaign trail, they said, can we find out what happened to man's best friend, the Siberian Husky? We're not at liberty to say.
Curtis, I got to also ask you about, because I don't understand the controversy behind the hansom cab thing, the horse-drawn carriages in New York. And the part of the controversy I don't understand is, what does it do for New York City that is so good, that makes money, like all the things politicians want? They want money and power, two things. How the hell do a bunch of fat tourists from Germany being hauled around by this poor animal on the busy city streets of New York, how does that actually help New York, aside from this archaic image that people think is so important? It is a cruel practice. I can't stand it. And I know you are against it, as is your beautiful wife, Nancy. What is going on with this, and why can't we just get it stopped?
Let me make this a domestic issue, since you maligned the Germans.
There was some fat German tourists.
I understand. There are many tourists from Iowa and Nebraska where they spend their life battling at the salad bar over who's going to get the macaroni salad or the potato salad. To them, that's salad. So you're right. They're real porkers. And they come to New York and they get in that carriage. It weighs 100 pounds to begin with. And now the poor horse, whose head is already down, and you can see the horse is suffering, has got to schlep around the park about 1,200 pounds of additional weight. They're injured. They're older. They're not being cared for. They're being tortured. It's barbarian. Anthony, there are now third world countries like in Bombay, in Monterrey, and Santo Domingo. They used to have horse-drawn carriages for their tourists. They now have the mechanized carriages where the carriage drivers still are employed. So it's not like they lost their job.
Right.
But there is something about this Sex in the City thing. They say, see all the times in the episodes in Sex in the City.
Curtis, it's romantic.
I mean, meantime, the poor horse is dying. Yeah. They keep them in garages, car garages.
Parking garage, like you park your car.
Yeah.
The guy comes, he gives you a ticket, takes the car. That's where these horses are. What a great setting for a majestic beast like a horse. Terrible.
Right. And there are replacements, and I and my wife and others are dedicated to making sure that stops. Now, when I'm mayor, unlike de Blasio, who promised he would end it, but knew he didn't have the executive power to do it, he took everybody's money,
What does it take to end it if he didn't have the executive power?
You have to go to the city council. You have to have a vote on it. And what you do with the city council men or women, even though most would disagree with my politics, is you say, okay, this is an important issue to me.
To me, right.
You need discretionary funds to look good in your community, so we could put your freaking name on a garbage can, and it makes it seem like you bought the garbage can for your residents when in fact it's us, the taxpayers.
Right.
So what do you need from us? What discretionary funds do you need? Do you need a fountain? Do you need a new playground? What do you need in your community? And you give them something, and then they give you something. And you are saying, and I'm going to look them in the eyes and say, look, there are many things we need in this city, but this is undone business. De Blasio promised he would stop this barbaric habit. He took everybody's money. At night, he was smoking Maui Wowie and Hindu Kush on the back porch with his grifter wife, Charlene, of Gracie Mansion. We want to right the wrong. Please, I'll help you get your discretionary funds. Wow. You got to help me on this vote. We must end this barbaric behavior, or I'm going to name and shame all of you.
Do you know Elon Musk at all? Have you had any contact with him?
Well, I haven't done ecstasy or Molly.
Right.
I haven't been out there in that wing-ding world in Silicon Valley. No, I've never met Elon Musk.
Well, maybe something could be done, because here's what I say. not just this autonomous cart that drives you around, a fully mechanical AI horse. It looks like a horse, maybe futuristic though, chromium with lights for eyes. And that's a Tesla horse that rides you around New York City with sensors on it and everything. I'd be all for that. I think it's cooler than a horse.
Like Mr. Ed that we grew up with?
Yes, Mr. Ed. It talks, and it doesn't make Park Avenue or where the Central Park North, is it? Right by
Central Park South, right there, near Billionaires Road. They call it Billionaires Road.
Yeah, it smells. Do you know when those horses take dumps? That smells for blocks.
No, wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, you're part Italian, right, Anthony?
Of course.
Let me tell you something. I ended up. Remember when flight TWA 800 went down in the Mauritius?
Abonanima.
And it's still up for grabs as to how it came down. Was it shot down? I went out there with a guy named Joel Santistaban who had his boat. We went out there. I got not only poison ivy, I got poison oak. You know the combination of both.
Oh,
my Aunt Mary, bless her soul, said there's only one relief. You got to get some horse chips right outside of the Plaza Hotel. You put them in the bathtub, in the bookhouse, a little warm water, and you lay in there. And I said, come on, Aunt Mary. I'm going to, that. She says, you want to keep suffering because, your skin bubbles up. You want to keep suffering on down? Or do you want relief? This works. This is from body. This is what your grandfather, Fidel Bianchino, used to do.
That is some old country stuff right there.
That worked, Anthony?
Curtis.
It cured me of the poison ivy and the poison oak.
Amazing.
Horse chips.
Who knew? I'll recommend it to my doctor. Curtis, I'm going to take another break. You want to hang out? We're talking, man.
Sure, to the break of dawn, like Eric Adams at a nearby club.
More with Curtis Sliwa on the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.
The Anthony Cumia Show.
And Curtis, let's talk to Chris in Ronkonkoma. He wants to talk about the homelessness problem. Chris, you're on with Anthony and Curtis.
What's up, Anthony? How you doing? I was the guy that called a couple months ago asking about the Mannix and the Cannon pitches on the shelf.
I love Mannix, Cannon, Barnaby Jones. Heroes in my book.
I was asking about it. Anyway, I had taken my daughter to a Yankee game 2 weeks ago, and I've never done that before. Normally, I would be a passenger in the car or whatever, but she had some tickets. I said, come on. So we tried doing the subway routine.
Oh, man, for Yankee games, that's brutal.
Let me tell you something. I took the LIRR from out here to Herald Square station there, and then up there, that subway was brutal, man. I mean, it was brutal. It was packed. It was 110 degrees in there. All right, no problem. When we got out of the game, we got a little lost because we were looking around at the sights and this and that.
The worst thing you could do is get lost around Yankee Stadium.
Well, not crazy lost, but just we like, come on, we'll go down this road. And then let me tell you something. I mean, I'm at this part I'm not really joking about. We must have walked past 30 people sleeping on the sidewalk.
Yeah. And it's all normal. No one wants to do anything about it. It's just how it is.
I mean, it was like,
it's part and parcel of New York City.
It was like, it was crazy. I was like, some people you could tell they were sitting on like a kid's chair, like a beanbag chair, and they had everything they owned surrounding them. And then there was other people that were just walking down the street and just like laid down on the street.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. Yeah, Chris?
Go ahead.
Chris, thanks, man.
This is like bonfires of the vanities. You make a wrong turn off the Cross Bronx Expressway. Now, the reason they sleep on the streets, because I am a cognoscente of this kind of behavior with homeless, is if they go into a shelter, it's Darwinian, survival of the fittest. They're not going to survive inside a shelter, so they'd rather sleep on the subway or sleep in the streets. And boy, that's a bad choice to begin with. But you know what? He said Yankee Stadium, and I said, they just had old-timers game.
Yep.
Derek Jeter would not go.
Why?
Yet Mariano Rivera was there. That's why we should have had the song by the Chainsmokers, who love Curtis and Nancy now that we went to their concert
Of course,
the other night under the Kosciuszko Bridge, and play the song Closer. Because he popped his Achilles heel in the Achilles tendon in the old timers game.
No, did he hurt himself? I didn't see that.
Seriously.
Oh, man.
In the old timers game. But Jeter didn't want him to play. Probably had good reason.
Was he there, or he just didn't want to
they had him on the big teleprompter.
Let me tell you something, though. I think in an old timers game, maybe Jeter isn't even old enough for that yet. Maybe that's why he didn't want to do it. Maybe 10 more years he could be in the old timers game.
But think of it. Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, throws a few pitches in the old timers game and somehow pops his Achilles tendon.
That's a shame. Jeez.
Maybe Jeter knew something we didn't.
Maybe he knew something. He feels like, you wake up in the morning, you slept wrong, and your whole left side hurts. Maybe you don't want to get out on the diamond and try to do some of those shortstop
sounds
magic.
Like that's happened to you before, Andy.
It had. Come on. Oh, yeah, Curtis. You don't know what that's like?
Yeah, and I take a Ben Gay bath.
Who's Ben?
And
friend?
Well,
a friend of yours?
I'm not going to find out who's gay. But anyway, the Ben Gay bath, where you just load up on the Ben Gay and nobody comes near you all day long.
No, you smell like peppermint or whatever the hell that stuff is. Did you see Johnny Damon was out there with the...
Yeah, Johnny Damon throws like a little girl. It takes he throws from center field, and then Jeter would have to play short center, and then they would throw it. It took about 3 relays before you could get it home. But he was a great ball player, Johnny.
Oh, he was. But you see, he grew his hair back long, but it's all gray now. They made him cut it when he joined the Yankees from the Sox. And it's so funny now because he's like, yeah, screw you. I'm going to have long hair. Dude, you're 60. I don't even know how old the guy is, but maybe a haircut's in order. I don't know. We'll be back in minutes. Curtis, sticking around?
If you want me,
I do want
me.
you. The Anthony Cumia Show. I gotta ask you about Mamdani. Actually, I want to play you a clip. It's Mamdani. Now, this guy has said for years, defund the police. He was part of that whole thing, and he's trying to clean up his image a little bit because that was that radical left, anti-cop, pro-BLM, all that nonsense. And now he's trying to clean himself up, but he's using language that is so obvious to anybody that wants to look a little deeper than just the surface that he still has these same beliefs. Here he is speaking. I don't even know. He was with Liz Warren at the time. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. But here's Mamdani talking about the police and what he would do with the NYPD. Let's give it a listen, and then I want to hear your take on it.
We know it is one that also comes from listening to officers themselves. 200 officers are leaving the department every month. A leading cause of their departure is forced overtime. And the fact that every year we ask them to take on additional responsibilities. We are making it more and more difficult for them to respond to the very responsibilities that drew them to the job in the first place. And I think about the 7 major categories of crime as listed in CompStat. That is not the full extent of what we ask officers to do. The NYPD receives 200,000 mental health calls every year. How can they be expected to respond to that and to this? New Yorkers rightfully have concerns around public safety, and I want to empower police officers to respond to serious crime and hire the mental health professionals to respond to mental health calls.
Yeah. Could you read between the lines? Was it all that tough, Curtis, to see what he was saying there? They're leaving because morale is so low with the old timers. I saw a clip the other day. There was some cop. He seemed to be maybe in his 40s. This guy's been on the job for quite some time. I could hear him counting the days left till retirement. He was in a group of thugs and cops that really didn't look like cops. Let's just be honest here. And this is why people are leaving the department. What's your take on Mamdani's ideas for the NYPD, and what maybe would you do different?
Well, when Zohran Mandami came back from his trip to Mecca, Medina, somehow it turned out to be Uganda, the land of Idi Amin, who would
Idi Amin Dada.
Right, who would eat his enemies, the cannibal, and then if his belly was filled, he would feed them to the crocodiles in the Nile. No lover of Jews, that's for sure. The Raider and Debbie, right?
Debbie, yes.
So here he is. He wants to use Etch-a-Sketch and somehow say, what I said when I was younger was just acts of youthful indiscretion. Because I feel the police officer's paying forced overtime. First off, the first 5 years when you're a cop, you're probably living in your mom or dad's basement, sleeping on a Castro convertible because you cannot even afford an apartment, never mind a house.
Yeah, you got to live in New York. It's expensive.
Are willing to do all the overtime you can because generally you don't have a family, you don't have kids at that point. So he knows nothing about nothing. And he's talking about all these 911 calls that come because we have a lot of emotionally disturbed people, domestic calls. First off, if you send mental health care personnel into a domestic situation,
man,
women will die, children will die.
And the social worker will probably die.
Yeah, it is the most dangerous situations. I and the guardian angels have oftentimes been the first to arrive at a domestic violence situation. It's generally men beating up the women folk, beating up the children.
Right.
And then when all of a sudden you slam the guy, the family turns on you. You can't win. It's a losing situation. And then cops come in and do the real heavy lifting on that. And really, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Absolutely.
He has no idea what he's talking about because, remember, he was a trust fund baby. He knows nothing about these things.
Right.
But notice how he talks. And I am speaking to all men out there. If you have a beard and you look like Zohran Mandami, like Mike Lawler, the congressman now from Westchester Rock, and you even notice he looks like Zohran Mandami, you better get a straight edge razor and cut it off. Right? The beard has become synonymous with Zohran Mandami.
Yeah, yeah.
J.D. Vance, vice president, that scruff's got to go. I'm sorry. Every
you
time
like the clean cut, your politicians clean cut, no beards.
It's just with the sort of photo bombing we've had with Zohran Mandami.
Yeah, yeah.
I associate the beard with a guy who, A, is a communist, check the box, socialist, check the box, anti-Semite, check the box. And I'm saying to myself, if you're opposed to Zohran Mandami, why would you be wearing a beard unless there were religious reasons for that? And I know most of you guys out there, you're wearing a beard because you think it's cool, it's hip, it makes you that much more attractive to the femme fatales. Let me tell you, I see a beard now. I see Zohran Mandami Jr.
So it's a wink to Islam.
Why not? You see how he dresses. He looks like the Iranians do. You know how they have the jacket and the white shirt that's open at the collar?
Yeah, it almost looks like pajamas.
Yeah, it's the same look. Mike Lawler, you support me. You're a great guy, but you got to shave that beard off. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me of late and said, I don't know if Mike Lawler's Mike Lawler or if he's Zohran Mandami.
Yeah. Curtis, obviously you were in New York during one of the worst times ever, 9/11. I mean, what's this we're talking, 24 years ago? It's just ingrained in my mind. I remember every second of that day and the subsequent days, the horrors of driving past the pile, smelling all that stuff, and just everybody being so sad. And did we ever think that an Islamic extremist communist would be in the lead right now? God forbid, I hope it doesn't last, but in the lead right now to be mayor of that same city, New York, that saw that atrocity.
Didn't surprise me because I've seen the changing of the leaves from the time that Bernie Sanders ran against Hillary, and he was never a Democrat. They let him in the party.
Yeah.
And basically he won the primary. He won the primaries and the caucuses. If not for the superdelegates in Philadelphia, it would have been Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump.
That they just seem to come up with. We need these superdelegates. Let's get him out of here.
Then you had AOC, all-out crazy Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, leader of the Socialists of America, better known as Sandra Ocasio from the very affluent areas of Westchester County. She's no Jenny from the block.
Now, she doesn't have great genes either, and I'm not talking genetically. I'm talking her genes. She went from the Jordache look to the mom jeans look these days. Getting a little, I don't know.
Oh, it's the red lipstick. Come on, Anthony. You know it's the red lipstick. Guys swoon over her. They go,
they love her.
Oh, my God. Oh,
well, look
AOC.
who they got to compare to with the rest of the women.
Generally, women in politics, especially if they're angry.
Right.
They don't look that good when they're angry. When they're happy, they look good. But she actually looks good when she's angry because she's angry all the time.
That's all we've seen.
Right. And in her district up in the Bronx, they did an analysis. Who voted for Trump during the election? Who voted for AOC in Bronx and Queens? Do you know a lot of people who voted for Trump voted for AOC in that same election?
Those people just like celebrity. I think they just like people that they go, oh, I've seen this person. I know this person. I've heard him say 2 words. Let me vote for him.
I have the solution of how we are going to turn these millennials and Gen Zers, who, by the way, Anthony, they are the majority of the population, the majority of the voters now. Mm-hmm. I am recruiting Chad Lopez, our own Chad Lopez, who I don't know if you know is a DJ of electronic dance music.
I did not know that. I never would have guessed that.
And a very good one. He's actually gone down to Brazil. I have Guardian Angels in Rio de Janeiro. They love electronic dance music. Apparently, he DJ'd about a 12-hour concert down there. And then the head of Goldmine Sachs, the CEO, David Solomon, is also a DJ of electronic dance music. It's a natural mood elevator. And I'm going to kick all of this off every Friday night this summer. It's EDM with the Sliwas based on our successful appearance at the Chainsmokers concert under the Kosciuszko Bridge. Where are
you doing this?
I am going to the old Brooklyn Mirage that they just closed in Williamsburg. This was a great venue, an outdoor venue. They closed it for a number of reasons. And right in front of that sign that says Bushwick, where all the millennials and Gen Zers hang out, I'm going to have my DJ equipment, and I am going to put out my Spotify list of the best EDM songs.
I cannot wait to see clips of this.
That's how you get them over to your side. You know they want to be entertained. You know they don't want to listen to politics. Come on, let's face it, on a Friday, Saturday night. You think, Anthony, they're interested in politics, or are they interested in getting the groove to their move?
Time to loosen up.
That's right. Yep. A natural mood elevator.
I get you.
DJ Curtis Sliwa.
Do you dance, Curtis?
Oh, yes.
Like move? You move to the music?
Oh, Pastels in Bay Ridge. I used to dance there back when Sid Rosenberg was a fixture there. Except the Bath Avenue boys.
I didn't know they sold drugs there. Sid was...
Let me tell you something. The cocaine flowed there. And nothing good happens...
If Sid was there, no doubt.
He loved Pastels. A lot of people did. But after 12 midnight, nothing good ever happens in a club. So I would do my Saturday Night Fever routine, my John Travolta routine. A lot of the guys are real gavons. They don't dance. But their ladies are there. And the ladies are dancing with one another. So naturally, I figured they want to dance with a guy unless they happen to like the same sex, which is not often true in those kind of discos. So I'd be dancing like a whirling dervish. The next thing I know, a guy would punch me right in the nose. My cousins would grab me into the female bathroom and be going into their pockets to get quarters out. Now, do you know what for, Anthony Cumia?
Quarters. Let's see.
The blood is gushing all over my polyester waffle weave flame retardant shirt, my bell-bottom pants, my platform shoes.
They're going in to buy tampons to soak up the blood.
To shove it up my nose.
Yeah.
Which is what professional fighters do. The corner guy, when all of a sudden you've been hit in the nose and you're bleeding, because they'll call the fight if you continue to bleed.
Right. It looks bad. You got to wave it off.
They put the tampons up there. It absorbs the blood. Naturally, you got to get all the ladies out of the bathroom first because they're going to think you're weird. And then they're hunting for quarters. I can't tell you. Recently, I had to go for a nasal examination, and the young doctor said, wow, you've had a lot of damage in there. How did it remain so straightened out? And I said, Doc, believe it or not, this has nothing to do with the Minnesota governor, Tampon Tim. Tampons, when they would hit me in the nose, and, you know, your nose was like either fractured or broken, you got to snap it back. Right. You put it in there, it absorbs the blood.
No, it's great.
Oh, thank
Better
God.
than, a compress.
Thank God they found quarters in their pocket. If they didn't, my nose would be like this now. I'd be talking like one of those wise guys where you say, hey, did somebody hit you? And they say, what do you mean, did somebody hit me? Of course they hit me. Look at my nose. Can't you tell?
All right. Look, I'm bored with it. All right. I'm running for mayor and I dance. I go down dance at the disco every Saturday night. All right.
And 2 slices of pizza.
Yeah, 2 slices of pizza. I work at the paint company. Every day I work to make money and I blow it all at the disco. All right.
And then my hair. Every hair in place. Now, that's why, ladies and gentlemen, let me be completely honest. This beret has become an issue in this campaign.
Yes, I see people saying that, too.
To wear the beret or not to wear the beret. And I wear the beret most of the time when I'm in the streets and the subways where the real peeps are. But when the wealthy people want to talk to me or the heavy hitters, I go in without the beret. It takes them like 5 minutes to even know who I am.
Recognize it. I don't care if you wear a top hat. I don't care if you wear a propeller beanie. You are the guy, Curtis. We're going to take a break. I'll let you go. I'll let you run. I'm sure you got mayoral things to do.
No, I got my platform shoes on. I'm ready. Oh, God, the
ready
Bee
to go
Gees.
dancing. Right.
Oh, my God. Was that not the greatest soundtrack of all time?
We're going to go to the Brooklyn Bridge and dance, all right? Don't jump off the bridge.
That's the Verrazano Bridge you got on.
Of course, the Verrazano Bridge. That was it. Curtis, I love you, man. I'm pulling for you. I am supporting you, and I tell everybody.
Well, let me tell you how to support
me. Get out there and vote. Yes.
Sliwa for NYC.com. Sliwa for NYC.com. And don't throw nickels around like manhole covers. I could use some of that money. I raised more money than anyone else, including Zorhan, this last cycle, and got $2 million in matching funds.
And they match it, so it's
That's
2
right.
for 1.
I get a little more, and I'm the winner. Come on, people.
Let's do it. Curtis, I love you, brother, and I love what you're doing, and continued support, and I'd love to have you on again soon.
You name it, I'm here.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you, Curtis Sliwa. And we'll be back in minutes with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show.
Drop out, Adams. Wait, look at New York City under Adams' tenure so far. You want that to continue? And look, for the people saying it doesn't matter if he runs, it's just giving the election to Mamdani. I'm not of that school of thought. I'm from the school of thought that if you're passionate about somebody and you want something, you don't compromise like that. Oh, leave. We want you. We like your ideology. We like your policies. We like what you want to do with New York because it's exactly what we want. Less crime, less corruption, somebody in office that knows New York. But drop out. And let the guy that screwed up this city during his term as mayor, Adams, let him, because he's got the best shot. Instead of really running for it and trying for the big win, as they call it. The big win. Get these Republicans off their ass and to the voting booths in November. If every registered Republican in New York, in New York City, actually voted on Election Day, it would not even be close. They're divvying up the vote between Cuomo, Adams, and Mamdani. No Republican in their right mind is going to vote for Adams. So, Curtis drops out. Now Republicans are going to go, ooh, thank God he dropped out. Now I could go vote for Adams or Cuomo. They're not going to vote. They're just not going to go out. That's the way this works. So Curtis stays in as a Republican. It's not on him to drop out. It's on the Republicans to get up and vote for Curtis Sliwa in November. And you'd have Curtis Sliwa as your mayor. You want Adams? You want Mamdani? You want Cuomo? Then don't. Sit on your ass, watch TV, and bitch and complain about your taxes, crime, every other thing that sucks about New York City. What are you doing? All right. Another thing I absolutely want to talk about, the Howard Stern thing has been such big news. It's the only buzz Howard has had in years about his show. And it's literally him quitting or getting fired, retiring, whatever you want to call it. Sirius XM Satellite Radio, who I used to be employed under, is making little hints that $100 million a year isn't quite balancing out to what Howard's bringing in these days. At one time, Howard was bringing in 20 million listeners a day. 20 million. I just read that it's down to about 250,000 listeners a day, which is just insane. That drop off. And for a company to go, hey, here's your contract, here's another $500 million for a 5-year deal, they're just not going to do it. Now, I've heard other things. You know, E-Rock, who is in the know in radio, says that perhaps Howard put this whole story out there himself to try to get interest up and see if people would be like, oh, no, Howard's got to stay in, or try to use it as leverage against Sirius. But all I see, if that was him that did it, all I see, the only leverage it gave was to Sirius. Because 99% of the comments I've read on social media about this story that Sirius does not want him anymore, at least doesn't want him at $100 million a year. Every one of those, the comments are, yeah, he sucks. Yeah, he's done. This isn't the Howard of old. He's overstayed his welcome. But truth be told, he is done. He's 71, and look, age isn't really the only thing that's going to get you out of radio and of actually being a personality that people want to tune into. But he's just, I don't know. He's gotten to the point where he's irrelevant. He had Joe Biden on and kissed his ass while he was obviously senile. And we'll be back in moments.
The Anthony Cumia Show.
Trump had something to say about Howard and Stephen Colbert and the fact that Colbert was canceled. I think Howard or Trump wants to kind of take responsibility for that. And I said it before, a lot of things, attitudes, ideology, maybe not ideology, but the attitudes of Americans have really changed, or at least the people that had any bit of common sense are being heard right now. They're the ones being heard. They're the ones kind of dictating policy. The idea that a child of 7, 9, 12 years old can decide their sexuality, and the parents are happier than a pig in crap, as they say, to take them to a doctor and have them mutilated and drugged and whatnot. That enough. People said enough. They always have said enough, but it just wasn't being heard under this Trump administration. Not that Trump had anything to do with it, but the fact that he was elected kind of gave people more confidence to speak out about this. And it gave the people that were pushing it less confidence. But that's how it goes. And I think another one of these things is entertainment. I think these late night talk shows are dinosaurs. Colbert and Kimmel. Fallon is just kind of, I really don't have any animosity toward Fallon. I think he'll do whatever management tells him to do. And I really think they didn't see Fallon as a guy that could, like a pit bull, go after Trump politically. So they just told him, like, really just leave this stuff alone. Crack an egg over Sydney Sweeney's head. Everyone will laugh. And that's the Tonight Show now. That's your show. So things have changed. Things have definitely changed. And I think people are trying to link this change and Trump to the recent story we heard about Howard. Serious. It's been said that they don't want to re-sign Howard. I don't think Howard's going anywhere. I think he would absolutely take $20 million a year. Oh, believe me, he'll be in poverty. Imagine relegated to only $20 million a year. What do you do? SNAP benefits, they've taken that away. Imagine Howard trying to buy soda or candy and not being able to because SNAP has recently said you can't do that. Only $20 million. So people are going, oh, he wouldn't take that. From $100 million a year to $20 million, he'll take it. Howard's addicted to the microphone, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I would have trouble. I wouldn't want to stop doing this myself. I know there are a lot of people that continue to talk into a microphone regardless of who, or more importantly, who isn't listening. There are people out there that had huge radio careers that, there's 30 people listening to them, and they continue doing it because there's this addiction to attention and that microphone. And I think Howard has that. I think he's a little delusional as to where he is right now. He was the greatest radio personality ever. That is undeniable. People have accused me of going, oh, you don't know, Howard started this or he was huge. And what you're saying is you're jealous. You're one of, like, I've always been a fan of Howard years ago. And I've never said he didn't deserve every accolade he got in radio broadcasting. But as time goes on and as you change as a person, or not even change, maybe the camouflage of who you presented yourself as on air comes away. It falls down and people start seeing you for who you really are. And I think more older people do that. They don't feel committed to a character anymore. And they're like, screw this, I'm just going to be me. And the Howard that is me is, he's really, we always knew he was a weirdo, but this whole political thing, like alienating half of your audience, is telling people that if you're a MAGA supporter, he not only wants you to not listen, but he wants you to die. Unvaccinated people, he said if they go to the hospital, they should be kicked out and made to die at home. He was a political shill for the left for the past few years. And the straw that broke the camel's back was that disgusting interview with Joe Biden. It looked like he put on a relative suit that was too big for him to, show respect. And then he just crowed about the amazing job Joe Biden did and how unbelievably qualified he was. He went on to say how the Biden family was an amazing group of people and that Joe showed he cared. And that's what we need. He called Joe the father of our country. It was so incredibly embarrassing that this was the guy who had the KKK guy on, who had Gilbert Gottfried on. And Gilbert would interrupt Robin's news in such a hilarious, horrible way that you could not breathe while you were listening to it. I sat in my truck at a job site that I was supposed to start working at 8, and I did not get out of the truck until 11, praying the show would end. They kept coming back and doing more, and Gilbert's on, and Jackie and Fred, and I'm dying laughing. I am not leaving that truck. And then to see that interview, that kiss-ass propaganda interview with Joe Biden, that was the last straw. And I think I'm not alone here. That really turned off hardcore Stern fans from years ago. Because how big Stern was back in the 90s especially, that created such a bond and such a loyalty in the audience that it took a long time for people to throw that out. I know a lot of people that said, yeah, I know it's not different, but he's growing. He's maturing. He's changing as a radio guy. You can't do the shock jock thing and get older. But if you change into what he changed into, I don't care how hardcore a fan you are, you're just not going to enjoy what he's doing. And you're going to look at him and go, who is this guy? This isn't that guy. So I think we're going through a time in America that type of entertainer is looked down upon. You know, we saw what the Democrats did. We saw what happened under the Biden administration. And for Howard, this, free speech advocate for so many years, First Amendment, crucified by the FCC. Remember that? He put out a whole thing. The FCC was censoring him. And then he actually said, I don't care about your free speech, to people that were talking about perhaps the COVID vaccine wasn't as good as they say it was, and some of the oppressive laws that were being put in place during COVID. People were speaking out about that. And Howard said, I don't care about your free speech. And that just crushed people. This is the free speech guy. Let me say what I want to say on the air. F the FCC, all that. So Trump had something to say about Colbert and then talked about Stern because he had done his show a few times. Let's listen to Trump talking about these guys.
I've got an entertainment-based question for you. A few weeks ago, Stephen Colbert announced that he was leaving his show. Howard Stern announced that he and Sirius XM Radio are parting ways. Do you think the hate Trump business model that's been in the entertainment business is going out of business because it's not popular with the American people?
Well, it hasn't worked, and it hasn't worked really for a long time, and I would say pretty much from the beginning. Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here. I could go outside on the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going. I don't know, but I would imagine because they get, Colbert has better ratings than Kimmel or Fallon. You know that. Howard Stern is the name I haven't heard. I used to do a show, we used to have fun, but I haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened? He got terminated?
Yeah, they're going to separate ways because I think what they're offering salary-wise is real low for what he's getting.
You know when he went down?
Whenever you want.
You know when he went down? No, before. When he endorsed Hillary Clinton, he lost his audience.
Right.
People said, give me a break. He went down when he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. That was it. It really exposed him. I don't know what happened. The guy was always, Howard was always kind of an odd fish. And I think COVID broke him. I think COVID really broke him. There were a couple of things. One of them was COVID. The other one was this just need to be accepted by the Hollywood community. When he was an outcast, as far as Hollywood went, and every Hollywood star, they hated him. They all wanted to be on his show to promote whatever they were doing because they knew he was the number one guy. Some of them, biting off their nose to spite their face, wouldn't go on his show to promote what they were doing because they hated him so much. But there were a few that came on and said, yeah, I'm going to talk to this guy because I'm going to get to more people than I could with any other show. But most of the time, the Hollywood community, degenerates, perverts, pedos, they would shun Howard because his opinion of Hollywood was exactly like everyone else's regular people, not showbiz people. And we're like, God, this guy's awesome. He's crapping all over this elite, wonderful, glitterati Hollywood people. And then we saw, oh, God, no, he wants to be one of them. That was the whole thing. Every time he was bitching about them, in his head, he was like, why don't they like me? I'm popular. And when that finally came out and his listeners, his fans, his passionate, didn't miss a minute of the show fans kind of went, this is uncomfortable. He wants to be out in the Hamptons at some exclusive party with all the big Hollywood, Jennifer Aniston, Jimmy Kimmel. Look, I'm hobnobbing. I'm hobnobbing, Robin. And that was it. That was it. People went, oh, no, he's the guy. He's one of them. He's always been one of them, but what he was doing on the air was chasing away the people he most wanted to hang out with. So that was about that. Really, that was quite the dive. And now, no one's really listening to his show. Let's be honest. Even the hardcore Stern fans, I get messages from them, social media and whatnot, and they're like, you wish you were Howard. And it's like, well, years ago, everybody in radio wished they were Howard. If you were in radio and people called you a Howard wannabe, that's different than a Howard copycat or a Howard you're ripping him off. You want to be in this business that you're in and be as successful as you can, be the biggest that there is, then yeah, wannabe. But those days are long gone. This is a guy now who's aging out. There's no real argument about that. And he's just lost touch in every single way with that audience that was so passionate about him and his show and what he talked about, his guests. I mean, when there was a woman, her name was Marcy Turk. She took over Howard's show over at Sirius XM. And she, I don't know why Howard decided to take everything she said as gospel. But one of the things was you have to rebuild your image into this thing that Hollywood will accept. You're not going to get a network gig with America's Got Talent or anything like that if people remember that you did blackface and you used the N-word and you were terribly sexist and misogynistic and homophobic. So you need to completely get rid of everything you did. So a lot of the funniest shows ever were relegated to the trash heap. Like I said, Gilbert, a lot of Artie Lang stuff. Some of these shows were the most memorable shows you'd ever heard. And they involved, a lot of racial stuff, a lot of sexual stuff. That's what we listened to. And be proud of your legacy in that way. It was during your most popular time in radio. But instead, this woman at SiriusXM convinced him to try to wipe that out so it never existed. And I think that was another thing that drastically hurt Howard as far as his fan base goes. They loved that. All the Billy West material. When Billy would come on and do Marge Shot She was an owner of what team was that? Do you remember there? The Indians, Cleveland Indians. And Billy West would do, it was some of the most horrifically racist stuff. But you want to talk hilariously funny, the way he did it, and hearing Jackie laughing and Fred, and it was such a guy thing. And then Robin's there to try to, rein it in. Oh, the Cincinnati Reds. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was the Cincinnati Reds. Mike? Yeah, she was. It was so friggin' funny. And to just disavow that ever happened. Not only move on. Like, moving on is one thing. I get it. You have to play to whatever's going on in the world at that time. And if that type of humor isn't fashionable, you could change it up a little bit. You realize who you are and what you're doing and go, all right, maybe not now. But to disavow it like it never happened so you could get America's Got Talent and sit next to the anointed Hollywood people, it was sad. That was a sad moment. He went on The View to plug one of his books, and it was embarrassing. Just sucking up to those hags on The View. So there's plenty of reasons why Howard isn't worth $100 million a year for a 5-year contract anymore. But I think his addiction to that microphone will not allow him to give it up when his contract is up at the end of the year. We'll see. The mystery continues. Back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show.
Checking my social media here. And again, see, this is what I get when I talk about Stern. This is the anomaly. This is the most rare of the rare comments. Most of them are, yeah, that sucks. Why did he do that? He stinks now. But every so often you get a guy that I have to believe hopped in Doc Brown's DeLorean from 1995, transported himself to right now, heard what I said, and was like, what are you talking? This guy's awesome. What are you talking about? Havahama. This guy's name is Havahama. You're beating up Stern. You couldn't shine his shoes. He is the number one radio guy of all time. I'm not a fan of his either, but you should talk about the normal crap you spit out, not him. Huh? He's not a fan, but he's behind him. He's supporting him. I should talk about... Well, I do talk about the normal crap I spit out. I do. That's my show. So again, people still have this idea that it's the 1990s and he's awesome. I'll tell you, the worst move Howard Stern made was going to satellite radio. It really was. There was this mystique about how dirty, how inappropriate, how rule-breaking he could be with FCC rules and regs in place, and having that PD and GM ragging on him. And it made him the underdog, even though he was unbelievably successful. It still put him in the position of underdog. My boss is trying to screw me over. My boss is trying to keep me from doing what I want to do to entertain you. So all the listeners like, yeah, screw that boss guy. And then he went to Sirius XM and he had carte blanche to do and say whatever he wanted. And it took a little of that allure away. Sometimes the situation you're in enhances what you're doing. And I think broadcast radio was Stern's best place to be. Anyway, That's how I feel. We'll take a call here. Joaquin, PA. Talk about MAGA. What's up?
Hey, Anthony. First thing is I got a tongue twister for you. Stern went from irreverent to irrelevant.
Yeah.
I had a hard time sitting that one out.
Yeah, they sound similar, but they're worlds apart, man.
You know, as soon as he became a COVID tyrant, forget it. You know, I call him Howard the Coward then, because that's just ridiculous. Him and Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these guys that carried on about COVID and the vaccines and everything.
Yeah, wear your mask. I put the mask on my goat. Yeah, it was just too much.
I can be proud of myself. I didn't wear the mask unless I did it to get past the guards at the door, you know, then I took it off, and I just didn't buy none of that crap.
Didn't wear a mask. I didn't get vaccinated. I made a fake vaccination card, not for, like, important things, but, hey, look, I'm crazy. I wanted to get into a goddamn restaurant, you know? I wanted to go to a restaurant. So I took out my fake COVID vaccine card and went in. Yeah, I wasn't getting vaccinated. Screw that.
You know, I want to also make a comment about the horses. The unfortunate thing is that if they shut that down, the odds are that most of those horses probably will wind up getting euthanized.
Yeah.
Or they might wind up getting bought by kill buyers that manage to, you know, trade them a couple of times.
I understand. Look, Joaquin, I understand that. But there won't be another generation of them and another and another. I feel bad. I feel bad that the horses will probably meet an untimely end if they shut down the carriages in New York. But then that'll be it. It's like, oh, these are the last killer whales we're going to have at SeaWorld. But unfortunately, they're still going to be caged up in those tanks. We can't let them out because, you know, they're not used to a natural environment. Well, that does suck, but it's the end of it, at least. It's done.
You know, that's a very interesting point that you just made, I have to admit.
Thank you.
That counters mine pretty damn good. You know, the one thing I do want to say is how this is all happening, unfortunately, with Mamdani. Cuomo is just as bad as Mamdani.
Of course.
It's just about an Islamist, okay? You know,
yes.
So everybody that's out there saying, oh, Cuomo to stop Mamdani, you got to be kidding me, you know? And Curtis is the only option when it comes down to that. And, you know, the problem is unfortunately, you know something, conservatives have allowed themselves to get bullied, you know, for the longest time now. Mm-hmm. And we've never met the left with, you know, veracity, you know, their attacks, counter-attack. When they call us Nazis, you know, and we should have countered that right away. We've just allowed that to go on. This is ridiculous. And I do want to say one more thing about these Republicans who are deep states. They say they want to start a new party, Christy Todd Whitman, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous.
When Elon Musk, he ran to the arms of Mike Pence and said that we needed a new party.
The America Party, yeah.
We have to start learning that not everybody that has an R next to their name is not necessarily, you know, an America First conservative Republican.
No, a lot of politicians in there. Doesn't matter, D or R, they're politicians, and they're by nature corrupt, self-centered, self-serving. So, yeah, those are the people we'd love to get out, right, Joaquin?
Exactly.
Man. All right, thanks for the call, brother. There goes Joaquin. I like that guy. Man, all right, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I adore you. You know that. We'll be back next week. Anthony Cumia on X, Compound Media on YouTube, and, of course, 77 WABC on YouTube. And we will be back next Sunday, 8 p.m. Join us then, won't you? Thank you. Anthony Cumia saying good night.